Welcome once again to Beyond the Realm. I'm here with NA Hitscan player for number 1 team currently in the NA PML Downfall. Edge, welcome.
Hey, how are you doing, Ruler?
I'm doing fine, and you apparently as well, since you guys are popping off currently in the PML as well.
Yeah, we're currently ranked #1. It's something special.
Alright, Edge, you've been part of the NA scene for a good amount of time now. How would you say have the players and the league developed and changed over time from back then, I don't know, like 1 or 2 years ago, to now?
Well, I think everyone got mechanically better for sure. Like the my well, like I mean obviously including myself, but like my competition and everything has also gotten mechanically better and just over time, just like as the esport develops and Paladins in general, and as like the meta shifts and everything, it seems like we're just slowly, just slowly making our way towards just becoming like the esports scene that everyone wants to be, like, the Overwatch, everything that's like really established and everything. So I think we're definitely on our way there. And I feel like it's better for the scene, but also sad to see some of the older players go. But like obviously as the scene develops and it gets harder and harder to become like to perform at that level or to compete, people will quit, and that has happened to a couple of my friends. Like I even quit at a time too. Like I went to Overwatch because I wasn't sure if I was enjoying or no, I wasn't. I was sure I was not enjoying Paladins. I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue competing. So TMAC and I, along with Neo back on Big Egos, when we competed in PWC qualifiers, we decided to take a little break, but then we ultimately came back and we're still performing. So it's always satisfying to say that we can still compete, even though the scene has developed and everything got a little harder.
Yeah, I think everyone has hopes that Paladins one day will strive and become one of the bigger esports, which currently is not the case, but maybe
Yeah.
in the future if we keep being consistent.
For sure, for
And
sure.
and obviously it's sad to see old players go, but that happens everywhere sadly, and we will have to handle it somehow.
Yeah.
All right. Since you guys are currently leading in the league, how far do you think are you guys from the other teams? Or in other words, who do you think is the hardest for you guys currently to beat?
I think easy answer is Ferocity because they're currently #2. Even though we had if you just look at the score of the set we played last week at just face value when we 3-1 them, it seems like it was kind of a stomp, but like versing them, it feels like they're definitely the closest to us in skill. Below them, I'd say Zenith, and then I would say last is probably Borkers. I think Borkers have potential to be good, but like as of now, it just feels like when scrimming them or versing them in like official PML League matches, it just feels like they're all like in different places, to be honest. Like maybe lacking team synergy, maybe lacking comms. Like I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it just feels like they're kind of like discombobulated in a way. But Ferocity seems like the closest to us. We usually I was honestly surprised that we beat them in the 3-1 set. I was expecting it to go to 3-2 or like to game 5, but I don't know, we closed it out pretty well. We came out like ready to play. So we just kind of like had the head start, I guess you could say. But yeah, Ferocity for sure is closest to us in the league, in my opinion.
Right, on that topic, what's the kind of mentality you, or maybe even your entire team, goes at before the games, or even in practice? Is there anything worth mentioning, or are you guys just really motivated to win?
I think we're all super super motivated to win, and we're all like really really hungry to improve and grind. Like TMAC and I, especially coming from Overwatch, the break was honestly exactly what we needed. Even though people will try to give us hate for it, say, whatever, it was too hard for us, that the break was exactly what we needed because I was able to reevaluate my own what's the word, goals, I guess you could say, in esports. Like
Hmm?
thinking, because I would have like previous thoughts slash doubts about myself, but taking that little break was exactly what I needed, and I think I can see the same in T-Mac and the way he plays, the way he calms, and just being overall like a friend to him in general because we competed in games before and in lands before when I was on with him when I was with him on Big Egos, as I previously mentioned. But we all just and obviously Shadow, he came back from Splyce. He was taken out of the PPL, so he's hungry to get back into the PPL. I'm hungry to make my first debut in PPL, so is T-Mac, and I know that. Tay was a sub on Ferocity, so when we made the roster swap to get him, he was on Ferocity, who was #1 team before we kind of came back, I guess you could say. So he learned a lot from them, so he was already at like kind of a head start skill level wise. And then Jay has also wanted to compete in esports for a long time, but he's had like personal issues with his parents and stuff because they don't really support him that much on esports. So I think we're all just like a really fun group of guys that mesh well together and that just want to see each other improve pretty much ultimately. Beat whoever our opponent is, like no matter the opposition, whether it be, I don't know, a team that's rated pretty poorly or a team that's like on top of the world like Envious. We just, no matter who we verse, we play to win.
Yeah, honestly, since you said you came or had a break with Overwatch, do you think playing other games helps you improve or figure out new things inside of Paladins, like rotations and stuff? Because if you just play Paladins itself, you obviously see stuff,
Hmm.
but if you play other games, you will also learn some other tricks that people use in those games, I guess.
Yeah, I believe that um, playing other games and taking a little break, specifically something like Overwatch that is at like at a basic level pretty similar to Paladins, you know, like a hero-based FPS shooter. Obviously, they have their own different things, but like I think the skills definitely transfer over, like especially comm-wise too. Like when I went to Overwatch, I was not much of a commer previously. Like yes, DPS role can be expected to comm less than let's say a tank or a support because you know we're focusing on aiming, on fragging, hitting those headshots or whatever, make the difference in whatever it is. But what I did learn is that comms are like more valuable than anything. Because in Overwatch, when I was playing the Goats meta, which I was like playing Zarya, I was playing a tank. I wasn't even playing a DPS. But like calming, like when you bubble your Reinhardt, when your Reinhardt needs bubble, like listening to all those calls, and especially like a big factor that I just thought about was you have a whole nother player too. Because Paladins is 5v5, Overwatch is 6v6. You have 20% more comms to like take in if you take it with the 5-to-5 ratio. So you're listening to 20% more comms, and you have to account for 20% more people, or like, and that's also the enemy team. 20% more people, that the more things that they could be doing. Like, you know, I'm used to seeing 5 people only from Paladins. Let's say I see 5 people in Overwatch. Like, okay, where's the other person? Like, where's the Lucio? Where's the Reinhardt? Is he looking for like a sneaky Earth Shatter? Things like that that I really struggled with going into Overwatch. So while like my time in Overwatch has really taught me like the more social aspect of it rather than mechanical, because I think my mechanics have pretty much always been there ever since like I was younger. I've always been like a pretty mechanical player, but it was like as I said, like the calming and stuff that would give me troubles, like calling my rotations, asking my teammates like help me out when I'm like diving and stuff like that. I was really in the moment, which like worked for the most part, but like taking that extra step would be what I think I need in order to make it to PPL and break out of the minor league, which I'm currently working on.
All right. On another hand, earlier you mentioned that Borkus currently seems to be all over the place, and part of that could maybe be, let's not say blamed, but attributed to the roster swaps. What's your
Hmm.
opinion on all the roster swaps or the changing craze which has happened in the PML so far, and especially in the time span of the qualifiers?
I think it's just like unfortunate, I guess you could say. That's like the best way to put it because there's some swaps that need to happen. Like even our team had a swap, like in the early stages before we even qualified for PML. We had Nada there, but then we replaced him with Tay. So I think it's fine, 100% okay to identify like maybe who the team collectively thinks as a unit is the issue, and then try to talk to them. And if that person is unwilling to comply or combative with the way you like talk to them, as long assuming you bring it up in the correct manner. Obviously, don't just say, "Hey, like you're feeding." That doesn't go over well with anyone. But as long as you bring it up professionally, and if like there's still an issue or some kind of disconnect with the team and that person, I think
The
it's 100
fight. But
100%
of course,
okay
Edgem
And
having
this guy, yeah.
with
make
all
a
the
swap with
pressure
the
his
roster
tanks are creating,
or
he's
something
able
of
to
that
hit some
manner. But I think
crazy
that
good
it's
shots in the back
gone
line with
pretty extensively
no
so
worries
far.
in the world.
And
Like
you
our
know, he
team
wasn't
and
able to
Ferocity has been
match
pretty much,
the damage of
I wouldn't
Lumsey
say
on the
lucky,
Strix on
but
the
like
opposite end, but
established for the
what
most
he
part.
was
Because
able
we
to
had that one
find, and this
swap
is
with
a
Nada
common
that I talked
theme.
about. But ever since
Oh
then, we've
wow,
been the same for about like
this is a
I
common
don't
theme,
know
but hitting the
a month
important
or so.
damage. You
I
know,
don't even know the
it
time frame. We've
matters
obviously been
less.
together for a long time. Even when I was on Big Egos with TMAC back then, they were still a team. They were ranked, I think, number 3 because it was at the top was Sanguine, and then number 2 was us, and then Ferocity. So they've been together for a while. And I think just the most important part is finding that one like group of like people that you can stick with, and then just sticking it out through all the bull crap and the arguments and everything that happens. Because at first you're obviously going to start off like as a weak team because you don't 100% know your teammates, you're not 100% comfortable with them, you maybe might not all be on the same page. But I think it's shown through Ferocity and us that if you stick with that roster and if you continue to grind with that one roster, then you will make it to the top because direct correlation I mean, us and Ferocity have been together the most without like with the least amount of roster changes, and we're also at the top. So that's just my opinion on it. I mean, obviously there are some extreme cases where people have been banned, breaking up teams, causing changes and stuff like that, where that's a whole like different issue that has nothing to do with performance at all. But that's pretty much my take on it. Just try to find that group of friends and also good players that you can compete with, and just stick it out with them. Because also chances are, if you as an individual constantly think it's your teammates the problem, then that's an issue within yourself or your like method of thinking. Because obviously no one is perfect. Everyone makes their own mistakes. Like there are some games, some scrims, some decisions that I make that I know in the back of my head cost us the game or the set or whatever it is, and that's just something that I have to take. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh yeah, this could have worked if TMAC gave me a heal. Like, no, I shouldn't have rolled in there as Cassie. No, I shouldn't have Leanne dashed in there. That was my fault. Don't like look to blame it on other people. Always self-reflect.
Yeah, it's definitely a good mentality to have. And then, since you mentioned your HRX qualifiers earlier, or your appearance there, you played with big egos back then and dropped out of the winners bracket against Brazilian's Space Station. What do you think makes or made SSG so strong, even though they arguably have way weaker training partners than, let's say, EU or NA, respectively?
It's funny you ask that because, like, to be completely honest, to this day, I really don't know why they're so good. I really don't. Like, even scrimming them now, we still have trouble with them. Like, they're just so good for no good reason. I really don't know, to be honest. Like, they're always on the same page. They have really strong and like coordinated aggression. It's like they were just born for it, I guess. I really don't know. And as you mentioned, like the Brazilian region, their competition, like for the people they verse, is way worse than let's say like us and NA. We can scrim Envious or like previously G2 last season if we like wanted to, which at face value is better than their like opposition. But I don't know. They're just insane for whatever reason. I really still don't know to this day. It's kind of like, and I think like back on Big Ego's days when we versed them in the PWC qualifiers, I think it was more of like their status that got to us because the first game I remember, obviously I still remember because I played it, but this first game we versed them on Serpent Beach, it was a 4-3. It was a close game. And they were actually the first team, or we were the first team to verse SSG on Serpent Beach that did not get 0 forward. They even 4-0'd Fnatic on that map, which is like crazy. And then we took them to 4-3. But then after that, it was just kind of like, uh, I don't know. As I said, like the kind of like their status, in my opinion, because it doesn't really affect me. Like when I get on a big stage or LAN or like when I'm qualifying for like PML or anything, nerves don't really hit me that much. Like I'm really not like a nervous player. I just kind of like see an objective and I go through with it. But I'm 100% aware that people in esports sometimes will panic or they will feel like they'll lose confidence versus that one team. Because obviously, no matter what you say, you want to win versus let's say Bork and you want to win versus Team Envious, but if you see Rock Monkey dashing into you versus someone like, I don't know, even me for example, you're gonna probably be like a little more nervous if Rock Monkey's dashing into you than me, just because he's better than me, and that's just how it is. So those little like mental adjustments that people make when accounting to who they're actually versing, I think is what like causes those top strong teams that are also like kind of a mystery as to why they're actually good, like even better because it's like how are they even good? They're Brazilians, as you say, but you have to respect that and you have to just accept it. Like, okay, they're from a different region. Like some people want to ego them, but you just can't do that because they're gonna smash you twice as hard as if you were to play them normally.
Yeah, they definitely seem like they figured the game out, just like Envy and Navi currently as well. Those
Hmm.
teams are at the top for a reason, and I guess it's up to the rest of even the world just to figure out what exactly they're doing, which makes them better than the rest right now, and to catch up to them, and maybe even overtake them one day.
Hmm.
Then do you mind sharing some, I don't know, maybe a story or something about the HRX qualifiers last year? Was there any experience which you thought especially was great or funny or whatever?
We have a lot of stupid stories from that. So I remember once that I was, I think I was, it was me, TMAC, it was Neo and Will all in a room, and then it was Watkins and Quick and and then like a neighboring room or something like that. And I was sitting on the bed, like listening to music after we had beat Renegades. So we were all like, kind of like a social high. We were all and what's that honeymoon phase? That's what it is. Because we just went to LAN as a PGS team that was second place. We beat Renegades. They didn't have Loki, granted, and that did play a big factor. But still, at the moment we were like all super hype and everything. And then that night we were all just like kind of chilling in bed. I think William was watching anime or something in his room, and Watkins was in there too. And then like I heard this like loud beating noise for like out of nowhere, like through my headphones too. Like it, it was just this loud repeated beating. I was so lost. I thought it was like something. I thought it was like a beat of the song at first. So I just kind of like I kind of brushed it off. But then I opened the door and I see Neo standing right in the middle of the room. He has like 10 Snickers bars just like in his hand and he's just throwing them at the refrigerator. Like he's literally just whipping them at the refrigerator. And I opened the door. He just looked at me with like the most innocent stare I've ever seen in my life, and we both just laughed so hard because and I was like, "What are you doing, Neo?" And he's like, "Bro, I was bored." So he just decided, "Okay, I'm bored. Let me throw some Snickers at the refrigerator." And he literally like took like 20 Snickers from the skill shot event that we went to. We competed at LAN.
I mean, aim practice.
Yeah, he's ape training.
Respect the grind, my dude.
Yeah, oh my goodness. That's still like the funniest moment at LAN ever to me. Oh my god. 'Cause I was like, I literally thought like someone had like broken in the room. Like I was genuinely like scared for a moment. I thought someone was like trying to like beat on the door to get in or something. I was like, I tried to open the door. I was like, what the hell? And then I saw him just throwing Snickers at the fridge. So stupid. Oh my god. But yeah, LAN was like so much fun. I really look forward to going there again if I get the opportunity to. It was super fun. And to compete at like a level like that, it was so much fun. It was one of the best, probably one of the best experiences of my life.
Okay, whilst we are at it, what's so much fun for you about playing Paladins or playing with your team? Like, you guys seem to be enjoying yourself so much when you're playing, at
Hmm.
least when you're playing together. What makes it so much fun for you?
I think it's just like we're all not only good players, but as I kind of touched base on earlier, we're all like great friends too. Cause like how if you meet someone online, it's always gonna feel somewhat different than when you see them like when you meet someone in real life. People usually say real life is better.
Yeah.
But like when I talk to T-Mac, let's say in voice call, I talk to Shadow or Will or Jay or Tay or Jake or anyone on our roster, then it feels like they're just right there next to me. Like it's not like just some online superficial thing. Like we're actually good friends. And especially like when we went to LAN as well, when I previously hadn't seen them, we were all just like best friends. We would go out places, do stuff together. We would clown just like normal, like in voice chat as well, when we like scrimming and stuff like that. And it was just like they're literally just your friends. Like it's really nothing different. They're arguably better than real life friends. Like I consider T-Mac better than some of my real life friends because not only is he like basically a real life friend of me because I've seen him at LAN, but also like he can compete with me at that certain level. And there's like a level of maturity to it slash respect, I guess you could say, for someone when they're in esports because you know the things they have to go through as I'm sure you have gone through some of those things too. Like let's say confidence issues or like ego issues, things that everybody goes through, no matter how good you are.
Hmm.
Like no one is invulnerable to those feelings because we're all human. And like to be able to compete and still be friends and maintain the relationships while like competing at this certain level and getting through like all that BS that you have to get through while being on a team is like just like a next level friendship, I guess you could say. So we all just have that connection. The newest for me to this roster of Downfall was obviously J and Tay coming in, but the newest for me was Shadow because I previously had Neo as my blaster DPS counterpart. But I wasn't nervous at all coming into it. Like I knew Shadow from LAN when he was on Splyce as well, and we were really good friends then, so I knew it wouldn't be a problem. And we all like mesh really well. So I
All
think
right,
it's just being like good friends with your teammates.
good. To wrap all of this up, is there anything you want to add or tell your friends, haters, friends, or family?
Well, I 100% love my mom for allowing me to go into esports, I guess you could say, because I come from a background where I am half African American and I'm half Arabic, so slash Middle Eastern. So my dad is very like into going to school. Like he always pushes me, go to school, get good grades, all that stuff. Which there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone does that, and I still have good grades now. You can still like I think that's a big misconception with esports is that you have to like go 100%. You have to play 12 hours a day and you can't do anything else and like it consumes your life. It's really not like that. I honestly think that's unhealthy because I used to think that way as well. And like during summer or it breaks, I would play like 12 hours a day or whatever, and then like just go super hard in the grind. But that's actually like it would literally like make me worse. It really would make me like a worse player because you're sacrificing arguably your own sanity plus social relationships, which can give you confidence in certain areas, and they're just good for your mental health, talking to other people, than to just be cooped up in your room in front of a computer screen. While granted, like esports is something that I love and everything, but like tunnel visioning on just one aspect of your life and one like good thing is never that's never good. Like putting all your eggs in one basket kind of analogy. That's never a good thing. So my biggest like I guess advice you could say is just like go out and try to do other things. Not obviously there will be times where you need to grind more. Let's say coming up to a LAN or a tournament or qualifying for something, you need to grind more to make sure you put in that extra 5 to 10% that other people don't. But I think in general, some people like they just like they grind too hard in my opinion, as I said. Like they just grind way too hard. And it's like, okay, you can take this time to chill out. You don't need to constantly be aim training. You don't need to constantly be VOD reviewing. You don't need to constantly be playing the game. You can take that time to just go have fun with your friends or do whatever you want because it can make you a better player because it's all just about mental health. And I know a lot of gamers have trouble with mental health as I have before as well. But it's just overcoming that is a big thing. I think just like finding a new scene, I guess you could say. Like getting a new, like not a new scene as in like a video game, but just like a new real life scene. Not just,
Yeah, being a player is not
yeah,
just playing. It's
yeah,
part of.
yeah,
It's also just being a person and bringing what you have as a person into the game afterwards.
yeah.
Like you're a person first before a player.
Yeah, for sure. Just like how people would say student athlete, student before an athlete always. You need to
Yeah.
take care of yourself before whatever extracurriculars you're involved with.
All right, Ash. Thank you for coming to this interview and speaking to me.
hmm Thank you for inviting me. I'm honored.
Yeah. Good luck in the future weeks of the PML, and yeah, overall, thank you for coming here.
Yep. All right, I'll see you, dog.